Okay. Hello, everybody. It seems like we are live. Thanks for joining our stream, our weekly Aurora update. Hello, Vagatlan. Unfortunately, didn't see you the first time. Welcome. So I'm going to share my screen. As all of you know, this is the regular weekly update from the Aurora team. We're doing it every Friday at this time, 1 hour and a half call. So later you will be able to watch to see the meetings of this meeting in the GitHub and on Near blog. And actually, starting this week, we are going to put the information, quick notes on the most important things in aurora.dev blog that you are able to find on the Aurora website here. So expect by the end of the week to see some more content here, and the most of the information about this content you will hear during this call. So I already put a couple of points here in discussion. So guys, please add anything else that you would like to discuss here. And while I'm doing the general update for everybody, what's the status? What's our current goal? So as you know from the previous call, Aurora is released, and Aurora is now working nominally. So all good. We see some activity that is happening on testnet and on the mainnet. Our RPCs are working pretty okay. So if you want to check the status of the RPCs, you can go to api.aurora.dev. You see that everything is in green. Everything is okay. Arthur will most probably post some updates. Oh, sorry, some updates about this. Currently, as you know, we are focused on the activities around spinning off. And this includes also speaking to additional parties, additional partners, composing an invest round, and figuring out how we are going to work after this. There are lots of activities connected with this. Lots of team members are focusing on this. The other thing that we have been focusing during this week is a project that we call eNear. And this is a project to support near token transfers to Ethereum. It's in a pretty good state in general. All of the team members are going to update you on this, but in general, we are pretty close to releasing this project. And together with eNear, we have been working on two connectors. First one is for transferring ETH to Aurora. This is something that is not yet implemented. We are finalizing it, again, pretty close to finishing it. This is something very important for being able users to actually schedule transactions on Aurora. Now, right now, people are still able to do this because they are able to specify 0 gas fee, and the RPC is working correctly with this. So literally, yeah. So this thing is working right now. And the second connector that we are implementing, like updating, an ability to transfer ERC20s to Aurora. So this connector is already released in general for transfers from Ethereum to Near, but transfers to Aurora is not yet there. And literally, no, let me say not like that, not ERC20 to Aurora, but rather NEP 141s. So this is going to work for any near native fungible tokens of the current standard NEP 141. So this, for example, includes wrapped Near. So Near token itself can be transferred on Near blockchain inside of Aurora. So these are, yeah, and also just a general status that there are lots of work on infrastructure, and plus lots of debugging and fixing fixing small things. So we are now fully focusing on making sure that everything is working okay, and we are providing good service to all of the developers that are trying to use Aurora right now. That's the status and current. That's the status. Our current goal is obviously to finalize all of these activities. We would like to do the spin-off as soon as possible. We would like to finalize e-near and these additional two connectors and make sure that everything is working okay. These are our main goals for now. Let's go with weekly updates. Ahmed.
Yeah, so mainly from my side, this week was mainly focusing on the integration, troubleshooting the MetaMask issues, and running some examples on Aurora. So far, the truffle deployment of the contract is working, and also anybody can use the truffle console to interact with the RPC relayer. And the same thing for the hard hat. But we're still having some issues with MetaMask, especially when we read the contract state. So that's the main issue so far. It's still blocked by the Aurora RPC layer because Arto mentioned that it needs to be Dockerized first. So we can easily like investigate this from the both sides. So from the MetaMask and from the relayer itself, the RPC relay. So yeah.
I just can confirm the need of Dockerization of RPC relayer. Some of our partners are requesting this too. Yeah. Okay, cool. Where maybe you can share where people can find this ERC20, ERC721 examples?
Yeah, we're gonna release this maybe this week or maybe this Monday for people.
Okay. Yeah. Should guys look at it at doc.aurora.com? .dev, sorry.
So far we have it as a repo, but we can just add it on the doc. Yeah, of course.
Can you please send while we are going there, repo link put here? Okay. So on my side, I was mainly working on partners and investors calls. So lots of discussions there, need to align lots of interests. Well, literally that's it. This is how my days are structured actually. So I'm trying to do the general management to help structure a little bit the legal side, to help also doing a little bit of hiring, so some interviews during this week too, because again we have quite a lot of open positions and we need to make sure that that these are going to be filled. Yeah, so not a lot on my side to report, unfortunately. Sorry guys. Arto.
Yeah, a busy week as every week lately. So we investigated with Ahmed a number of issues on truffle MetaMask, fixed the truffle issues, and still working on the reported issue with MetaMask. I deployed an internal relayer to testnet using the S-connector contract. So that's the unreleased version of the engine in order to help the team test with that as well. We do want to keep the testnet and mainnet deployed engines the same when possible. So that's why we needed a separate instance. So it's a separate contract and separate instance. And then a fairly huge, massive amount of work on infrastructure. In fact, it'd be fair to say that I redid all of the infrastructure during this week. So right now, today there's a protocol upgrade happening on the neural mainnet. And because of that, we had to stand up some new hardware and apply the new version of near core there. So we have new archival nodes coming online, and they will be going online right after this call, which is good because the protocol upgrade will kill our old mainnet nodes when it activates. It should activate sometime tonight, hopefully. And also began to set up the edge hardware. So we have hardware in a number of countries now, and we're going to roll out edge hardware over the next days. I moved most of our configuration to Terraform, so it's managed in a Git repository. So that includes things like DNS records, so that we always know what the state should be with those. They're not just floating around. And I redid our endpoints. Maybe you can show the docs page for the endpoints for the networks.
Yeah. This is what I wanted to do. Oh,
yeah.
No, sorry, networks.
That one, yeah. Yeah, so the endpoint URLs are now far simpler, as in we took off the RPC prefix and we took off the 8545 port from the end. So these are now easy to remember, as in anybody can just remember that it's testnet, Aurora dev. Oh, it's betanet, mainnet. Yeah. Super easy. No need to go look at documentation. And importantly, these are now hosted via or served via Cloudflare, which means that we have Ddos protection. So actually that should go in here. Ddos protection. Yeah. So it will be a little harder for people to mess with us on a large scale. These are all run through a load balancer that monitors backend hosts and will drop any failing ones off the pool. These are rate limited and have IP blacklist implemented directly at the edge with Cloudflare. In addition to that, we have rate limiting and IP blacklist also on the backend. And we lowering latency by a persistent secure tunnel between Cloudflare's edge and our origin. So origin is where the endpoint is actually hosted. And those servers where we host the endpoint are no longer directly accessible on the internet. So they are just connected directly to Cloudflare's backend, and no longer possible to attack directly from the internet. Also working on granular rate limits, meaning that would like to have mutative operations have lower rate limit than read-only operations. That one ran into some issues. Hopefully can make progress on that next week again. And I set up an internal secure network. So essentially our corporate VPN for Aurora between all our hosts and our working computers as well. And then the piece everybody's waiting for. So the Aurora relay is Dockerized, and it can be now used very simply on your own computer, as well as deployment is vastly simplified. So that's pretty much my updates. Mostly infrastructure this week.
Okay.
The README is not updated yet. So.
Yeah. Okay. I just tried to get.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
cool.
README will be updated later today.
Sure. Super nice. Evgeny, what's on your side?
This week I was doing some code review, so I think the most important is in-ear, which is currently in the process of being launched. And I also helped Joshua with API additions, so we need to add those math API host functions soon, because then there will be some period until the corresponding update will be actually activated, and we want it to be activated not too late, because it will greatly decrease gas usage for our EVM contract.
Right. Okay, cool. Evgeny Ukhanov.
I put proposal for Aurora statistics, and also after that I implement PR for small statistics Aurora accounts counter. So currently it's completely implemented and tested. And so after Evgeny Kuzakov reviewed PR related to S connector, I started improvements and fixes. So in that time, all things implemented and fixed and ready for review. That's all.
Okay. Can you please send, put here a link to your PR? Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Frank, how are you?
I'm good. So this week I factored out the near API Go, which is basically a Go library to develop the dApps similar to the near API JS. Before that was part of the bully, and now we have it as a separate package, so we can use it to build other Go tooling with it.
Okay, that's cool.
Then I updated the bully to the current Go Ethereum code, and most importantly, I brought the bully to a stage where we can now reproduce problems without having to replay a chain from scratch. We talked about that on an earlier call, that the further we go in the replaying of Ethereum test nets, the harder it would be to reproduce problems, because it just takes, potentially hours and maybe days. So now basically when I encounter a problem, I can just dump the state, and then we can retest it from there. And earlier I talked to Josh that now I would ticket out basically such problem and document the process to him, so we can see if it's workable for other devs, that they can use that to debug problems.
What is the current height that EVM bully is stopping at? Is it still that 12,000 something?
It's like for Girly 14,460 or so, and
okay.
For the other two, they stop very early with problems. So I'm gonna pull out these three and then see if it's helpful for Josh.
Okay.
So we can do all three in parallel basically. As soon as one problem is fixed, I can rerun it there.
Yeah. Have we already fixed? I remember there was an issue with a very, very short question. The issue with the size of transactions. Are we able to have a local deployment of New Core that is able to sustain more than 1,000 tera gas? Like it was raised to 800 per transaction or something like that?
Yeah, I increased that on the local setup. So otherwise, it's not working. It's
okay,
default,
cool.
parameters. Yeah, just in the Genesis state parameters that can be adjusted.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not go too deep into it.
Sure.
Oh my gosh, Joshua, you're writing essays. every time it is more and more. Okay, nice. Enjoy reading stuff. Can you comment on this?
Yeah, sure. So basically, the most of what I did this week was the math API, because we got to get that in ASAP. So I worked with Capone on that, and also worked with Michael a bit on that. It's like right now, the Blake 2 functionality is in there. It's all working, and you can do it step by step depending on what the arguments are. So you could do a pre-hash and then come back to it later and do the rest of the rounds, for example. So that's possible. I'm still going to write a couple more tests just to make sure everything's good, but that's pretty much good to go. And then found 2 issues with the get state while talking to Michael, and then also found an issue with their current version setup. It was more so just migration stuff in general. And then other than that, had discussions and reviews, and with the discussions, I guess I already mentioned them. Yeah, that's basically it this week. Oh, and we also got 2 IRC channels, which I think we're going to talk about later.
Okay, cool. Okay, Kirill, you have lots of updates here too.
Yeah, this week I have reviewed a bunch of pairs and committed to some of them. Also noted the discovered possible issue with the compliance of NEP 145 of the core standards, which is important for S-connector as well. I was also working on the implementation of hard tests for the S-connector precompiles. And fixed some hard examples and working on the additional ones. I also did research on the issue of some withdrawals on the Rainbow Bridge in the near to ATH were not finalized. Marcelo did this research as well, and he finalized this transaction by himself. I also had configured and set up the Explorer for the developer Aurora on the testnet. This block Explorer uses the Ethereum Lite Explorer. And I also had like a lot of important discussions with almost every member of the team. More details are in the report. And such a huge and detailed report was inspired by Joshua's weekly reports.
Hey,
Okay. That's cool. That's cool. Something wrong is with the indentation here, but like it doesn't matter. Okay, cool. Are we able actually to provide the link to the Light Explorer, or it's better not to do because it's on your private server?
It's on the private server. I can provide the link. It's only set up for the developer Aurora in the testnet, the branch which supports the S-connector. I can put a link if you would like to.
No, that's effectively a private relayer. We shouldn't expose it right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Marcelo, what about you?
Well, this week we were prioritizing eNear, a connector from sending near to Ethereum. I was working close with the team, most importantly with Beans, reviewing and finally deploying only contracts to both testnet and mainnet, both in near side and Ethereum side. So yeah, we are ready to launch. Part of the week was working on the RC20 connector. We already figured out how to solve one important issue with promise calls, because we need to revert them in case something failed, like we're triggering a promise call from a precompile, but if the call that makes the call to the precompile fails, we need to revert the promise call. So we already figured out how to do it, and I already started implementing it. Well, I was helping. I was working with Joshua and Michael on the generational unknowns implemented to solve the self-destruct problem, which basically is resetting a contract. I think that ultimately the solution probably will go using a similar solution to what I'm doing for the RC20 contract, like modifying the state you're passing inside the EVM to keep track of nonces more efficiently. And well, last 2 points are like regular background job every week, supporting Bridge. There are usually some issues there, both UX and engineering issues. So I've been seeing some of them. Yeah. In particular, right now, the testnet bridge, the layer to a very deep reorg, and we cannot submit blocks because they are filling out of gas. So we need to take care of it. We need to take a closer look at it to unblock it again.
Okay. Yeah, Arte, it's not an open mic. It's Marcella in the wind. That's it. Okay, cool.
I see it wasn't an actual background. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, super cool. As always, thanks for supporting our community. Thanks for supporting our users, and thanks to everybody who are doing this. I was also doing a little bit of hands-on support this week for our users, and actually have a call with the partners that are also working on the bridge right after our call. Okay, cool. Near, gosh, Matt. What was on your plate this week?
Yes, Aurora. So coordinating the launch of eNear, the activities around that, investigating liquidity options for Near on Ethereum, testing the Rainbow Bridge UI update with Pierre and making a few tweaks to that. And finally, an enhancement to the Aurora website such that we can now categorize the content that's in the publication area. And we rename that from news to blog.
Okay, super cool. Thanks for helping with eNear launch. I believe this is very, very valuable. Okay, Michael. Also lots of stuff on your plate.
Did a little tech debt refactor, worked on the CI/CD for the docs and also the engine repo. The docs now automatically update on pushes to master, which is nice. And the engine repo, the tests now, instead of taking 20 minutes to run, take like 1 minute to run. So that's very nice. That's thanks to the cargo caching. And we talked a little bit about automating testnet deploy. I need to sync up with Arto more about that. He was very busy on infrastructure this week, but I'll need some help to get the automated testnet deploy going from him. And then otherwise, I was working on a few PR reviews and the state migration stuff. So this came out of the audit from Kuzikov. So he pointed out that when we change logic, we may also need to change state. An example being adding a field to a structure. So we now are able to do that, and there's a nice test for it.
Okay. Does this already does it use the state versioning that we have been implementing just before the release?
Right now, it's just a stub, like the skeleton is there, but because we don't actually have any state to requires a state migration, the migration method doesn't actually do anything. But we did talk about how probably we will use the version state in the future to do one of our first migrations when we actually have a real migration to do.
Okay, cool. Pierre?
Yeah, so this week was mainly focused on getting everything ready for the eNear functionality release in the UI. So pre-releasing different client library packages, which include some refactoring. So now we'll have separate packages for the light Merkle Patricia tree, for the connector utils, for the find replacement transaction. And so those are packages that can also be used outside of the bridge. I did some work on fixing the finalization of transfers and building of proofs. So now we're building proofs just before the unlock, which has one small downside, is that building the proof takes a second with the different queries. So I suspect that that's why originally the proof was built as part of the sync, so that the user would not notice it. So now there's this extra small gap in between the time that MetaMask actually opens and the time that user clicked on the to make the finalization. I did some what was it? Yeah, so improving the recovery features. So now we're checking when recovering a transfer, we're checking what is the status of that transfer. And so we were able to do this by querying the local storage directly, because we don't have a view function to check if the proof was used. And so we're using get storage at to use to read the state directly. So based on the variable position inside of the contract, we can directly read to it. After that, we had probably the first community PR on the library. So that was cool. Some improvements there, and it's been merged. And finally, I did a bit of testing. Yeah, so the fine proofs. So that raised some interesting questions, because currently most of the logic relies on a combination of the client library and the connector library. And so the client is the main entry point, which controls the connectors. But what we might want to do is to add more flexibility to use the connector libraries by themselves, and have an optional provider that we can pass into those functions, so that the connector doesn't necessarily have to use the connected client library, which stores the providers. So this way, yeah, mainly flexibility, I think, would be pretty good. Probably next week I'll open an issue on it, and maybe we can get some feedback for the best API that we can have for this.
Okay, I want to do a pretty short shout out to Raymond Fenn, who is helping with this. So that's super cool. I was chatting with him, was supporting a little bit him during this week. So really happy that people start building stuff in depth, in the guts, I would say, of the bridge. That's super cool.
Yeah, and finally, I did a bit of testing with Argent, because I remember a while back we had a user using it and checking the behavior with multisig and Wallet Connect, and particularly need to finish checking what happens with the canceled and replacement transactions and all these things, because for now we're kind of assuming that external accounts are used, but we'd want the library to work perfectly also if it's part of the multisig, for example.
Oh yeah. That's very important thing, because what our partner is doing, for example, right now is actually doing even more than this. But if something is multi-sig, then the transaction there is not called directly from like MetaMask. It's not a single transaction that is sent to our contract. It's just a cross-contract call. So it might work in a little bit different way. And maybe actually that proof code has some problems with that. But well, let's see.
So I was working with a Robston build of Argent, but they had a couple issues that we were solving today. So there's still a few things extra that I'll need to test.
Yeah. Okay. Julian, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you?
Not much updates.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Go on.
Not much updates. I mean, just helping you with fundraise stuff, with operational side, with legal side, and with CRM side. So, yeah.
I will put CRM as a separate thing. Julian is doing a very, very good job. That is going to help us a lot in the future. So he's populating the CRM that is we already set up. We're still in the testing mode, I would say, but it is already there, and lots of data is already there, so we can use it. Very, very convenient, top-notch, tier 1 CRM. So that's cool. Okay, great. So we are now we finished the updates. We are now in discussions. So there are like 3 points that I've put here. Any additional stuff to discuss from you guys? We can start with this, and then you can say what you want to add here. So I'm thinking that we're now there's quite a big mess in Slack channels. So my proposal to you is actually get rid of anything that
Alex, I have to stop you here. Slack is not something publicly visible, so we might perhaps discuss it on the Monday call instead.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, let's discuss it on Monday call. No problem. I'm just then do it in this. Yeah. One additional idea, I think that this is going to be influencing everybody, is how to finalize eth to near transfers. So we have been speaking about this for a long period of time. So if we have transfers of tokens for a token connector that are going from Ethereum to near, then if we want to work with Aurora, we know that our relayer need to do this. And this is what Kirill was implementing. And this is one thing. Second thing, if we will do this, it will just simplify the onboarding flow and how the users are sent in stuff. So this will be pretty straightforward. And the good thing also about this is that it costs not a lot. So I was just checking factory bridge.near, and the amount of all transactions that were scheduled to factory bridge.near was 766 transactions in total. So that's not a lot. Obviously, the amount will go up, but like it's and like many of these transactions are deployment of the other smart contracts and so on. Yeah, deployment of the near version of the tokens and stuff like that. And there are other things there. So not that big, which is kind of cool. So we can do this. And the most important thing is that this will solve our ledger bug, or like it will not solve the bug, but users will not see it. Okay. As you know, now ledger protected near wallets are not able to sign the finalization transaction, just because it is not. We cannot fit it inside of ledger. So yeah, just wanted to discuss this idea with you. What do you think of this? Should we do this?
Definitely.
Okay. Any other points of view on this?
Yeah, I think the cost is relatively low. So for that whole amount of transactions already happened, that we would have paid like a couple of years or so. And the good thing is that the layer is ready for that stuff. I used to run it in this mode like a month ago on the testnet, which brings some problems to members because they tried to finalize the already finalized transactions. So I think that's a good thing. At least we can test it for some time. If we will not have that huge amount of transactions that needed to be finalized, that's okay.
Cool. Marcel?
What about near to ETH transactions? Do you want to finalize those?
These are costing 330,000 Ether gas. So that's quite a lot. We need to have some kind of way to charge user, because well I just finalized one transaction yesterday of a user. Well, it costs like $100. So that's not that simple, I would say. So yeah, I would leave this as is right now.
Okay. Yeah. Well, regarding it to near, I think we should go for it. Actually, we should agree in some plan about when we want to deploy it and have it live. I think right now the only that is blocking is what Kirill described, that we need to have a way to know when a transaction is already finalized or not. Other than that, I already tried Kirill code and it works. Very nice.
Okay, cool. Matt, what's on your take on this? Are you still with us? Yeah. Or okay, Pierre, what's on what? Okay, Matt.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. What was the question? I was just I was having a side chat coordinating the next call.
Yeah, sorry. So what's your take on the auto-finalization of ETH to NEAR transfers? So NEAR transaction is scheduled automatically. Absolutely the same way
perfect.
for all of the transfers. Okay, perfect. Yeah, this is what I expected. Yeah, so just during this week, I understood that this can solve the ledger problem, and yeah, and we will not show any notification. Okay, cool. So then it seems like we are all agreeing that this is something that we should do. Okay, let's put it then in our pipeline. Cool, Arto. Feedback on Web3 endpoint usability. Is this you who put it in?
Yeah, that's right. So just would like to hear feedback from anybody who's using the endpoint internally, and of course otherwise too, on whether our latencies are currently acceptable. For example, Pierre, when you're using it, does it feel fast or sluggish? Any errors encountered or strange things encountered? Do provide feedback. So we know about the MetaMask issue and are working on fixing that, but anything else we haven't heard about. So if there's something else, let's surface it.
Actually, we can also include the remix for Ethereum. So anybody actually, if you're gonna connect remix to the RPC connection.
Yeah, remix is important.
Yeah.
And of course we need to document use of remix. So latest then need to go through that flow.
Yeah, we're gonna include this in the examples as well. So
yeah.
Pierre?
Yeah, I was just wondering if somebody had looked into this already. Once we have ERC20 NEAR on Ethereum, we'll want that token to be as default on MetaMask, so that if you have that token, it will directly display without you having to manually register it. And so I believe for this, we need to make a PR to have to the contract metadata repository.
I'm not sure how this connected with Web3 endpoint usability feedback.
I don't think it is. I think Pierre jumped.
Sorry, I think you went. I thought you went to the next one.
No. I just wanted to yeah, I want to hear the feedback here.
For this?
No. For Web3 endpoint usability.
Yeah, nothing new on my side. In terms of ETH, I didn't have any issue at the time.
Okay, good to hear. And yeah, good idea about the contract metadata, of course. Let's submit that upstream.
So usually they require tokens to have some volume and things like that. So they might it might get delayed. I don't know, depending on their willingness to merge quickly or not.
Yeah, you can open it and it can stay open until they like it enough.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we potentially may utilize some of our connection with consensus to speed it up. So let's do the PR and then just send me the link. I will try to speed this up.
I also had some feedback regarding this. I don't have the feedback for the latency because I was using the Web3 endpoint, which points to the developer Aurora, which doesn't have this latency improvements made by Arto. The endpoint works pretty good, I think, but I have experienced some issue when I set up the Block Explorer. I wanted to add some additional data scrapping and statistics, but for some reasons this was failed only with Aurora Web3 endpoint. I'm researching this stuff, putting just a little effort for this. But I think that maybe this is because the Aurora layer is not supporting like all JSON RPC methods.
Yeah, there's some non-standard ones we don't support, and there's standard ones that require the server to have your private key, which we don't support. Additionally, the relayer you're connecting to, it doesn't have archival data. So any blocks older than a certain point, you wouldn't get responses back. You would get errors back.
Okay, I see, got it.
But yeah, good that you're exercising it and do report anything.
Sure.
Okay, actually, yeah. Matt, go on.
Well, I just had one comment about the last point, making a MetaMask PR to register eNear. One thing that Pierre and I were talking about was the possibility of adding a MetaMask icon on the bridge to automatically add the Near token to your MetaMask. So, you know, a lot of dApps have such an icon to add their particular token to MetaMask. So you just click it and the token is added. We kind of punted on the idea at the moment since the bridge is a general purpose thing and not specific to one token. However, since it is our own token, it might make sense to find a way to do that. So that's also an option to help people quickly get the asset into their MetaMask.
And of course, that's related to having such a button also for adding our endpoints, which is known. It's on the back burner. Need to be done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. This is even, I believe, a bigger task because this is a meta task that we need to solve for all of our partners. Because normally a user that will come to us, to transfer the tokens, but he's going to work with our front end only once, like presumably not very often, I would say. And all of the rest, they are going to, all the users are going to do on the partners front end, on the dApp front end. It will be really cool to make people able to work from the partner front end fully. So this is a meta task: how to make it, how to do it, we need to give some guidelines to our partners to implement it similarly, and then it just works for everybody. Okay, with regards to these, I actually wanted to update you all. It seems like Etherscan is now more interested in doing the integration, so perhaps we will get some queries from them. So Etherscan is now exploring the integration, I would say. So so Arthur, just pay your attention to our chat with them. Okay, so probably we have been discussing already these 3 points a little bit. Is there anything to add on the ERC20 display in MetaMask, Mark?
Actually, it's like a general issue. It is not only displaying ERC20 in MetaMask. It's more about reading from the contract. So reading the contract state is not working. If we fix this, automatically it will fix the ERC20 issue.
So right now we are making it reproducible with Ahmed, so that we can both be on the same page of where we are with that, and after that we'll be able to fix it. So early next week fix.
Okay, cool. Okay, any additional topics? What do you want to discuss?
Nothing from my side. A lot of minor fires to put out.
Going once, going twice. Okay, cool. Then let's keep it nice and short then. So let's go to the next week priorities. No. Sorry. I have one thing. The docs actually. What is the status and how we are working on them? Because we wanted to update them and well, still need to do some stuff there. There are lots of us here, so maybe we can move this on somehow.
Yeah, so I'm working on the docs. I know Ahmed is working on the examples, and Joshua, are you still working on the docs?
I'm doing Math API until it's
okay. So you are off the docs, and Michael, are you working on the docs?
I haven't made any big contributions lately.
Okay. All right, so it's pretty much me and Ahmed then. Anybody else working on the docs? Okay, sounds like we're it. Yeah, so there's a lot of tutorials to write. Just need to find time to write it. The infrastructure issues were more pressing, so we didn't fall down. And
sure,
they remain a little bit more pressing. So we'll certainly improve the docs over the next week. Just have to fit it in.
Yeah, let's make this a target for the next week. Actually, that we are providing some kind of tutorials to people because many partners are starting to ask how to run stuff. Where can I read this stuff?
Yeah, I think it's part and parcel of working through those Truffle, Hardhat, MetaMask, Remix flows.
Oh,
As we go through them, we can document it at the same time. So of course, the idea of writing, for example, a Truffle tutorial, it ran aground when we weren't able to finish the actual demo scenario due to the problems encountered. But those have been fixed now, and need to come back to that task as well.
Yeah, I'm happy to contribute to the docs. Again, I was mostly off of them because I wasn't sure what I was doing / what was working and what wasn't working. So if yeah, we can sync offline if you want, Arto.
Let's sync on that, and it'll probably be enough that it's you, me, and Ahmed working on this thing. We have enough between us.
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. Then let's go to what we are planning for the next week. Ahmed, what do you think?
Yeah, mainly the docs stuff and also the MetaMask issue, and investigating also the Remix issue as well. Yeah, and maybe adding more examples for example, the multi-sig wallet, like Gnosis multi-sig wallet, so anybody can actually deploy the contracts and connect the multi-sig wallet UI to Aurora network. This also could be a good example.
How can I put it down?
Like a more, it will be like an extra example, like running Gnosis multi-sig wallet on Aurora. So it's like a well-known multi-sig wallet. Yeah.
Okay, cool, nice. So on my end is still number one is spin-off and everything connected to it. There will be a little bit of marketing activities. So next week on Monday, actually, I'm going to invite everybody to join our talk, Aurora talk at Consensus. You probably have heard of this conference. So we have a slot there, and we will be able to talk a little bit about Aurora there and Bridge Aurora. So like a half an hour for this, so which is kind of cool. So please join, and you will be able to see us next week on Monday. Besides that, almost nothing than this. So spin-off takes all my energy.
Alex, maybe you could send invites to that calendar event to everybody on the team.
Yeah, sure. It is actually.
Is it in the internal calendar?
I can add, but I don't.
It
think
is in
even,
it is in the community calendar even.
Okay.
So it is open for
all right.
everybody.
So just do Julian or Alex do send invites to everybody so everybody has it in front of them.
I'm not sure though. We're gonna have tickets. I think this is like a paid event, but I'll find out and let you know.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So on my side, documentation is certainly important, and to document all the things. Then, in addition to that, need to finish our edge infrastructure. So that means that we will be able to serve most requests to the endpoints directly from the edge, as in allocation geographically closest to the user. So geographic load balancing, and that's well underway. I expect we can roll that out within the next week, and that will reduce the latencies massively. I have detailed statistics on how long it takes to connect to the endpoint, do the SSL handshake, well, TCP handshake, SSL handshake, and then actually get the first byte. And we are going to track all of these stats, and we're going to improve them over time. So that's about to be improved. Then there's a bunch of things I need to do for block indexing to enable the block explorer. So hopefully we will be able to stand up a public block explorer in the near future. And then there's a bunch of things to do on, well, getting everybody an Aurora.dev email and Google account and so on.
Yeah. Evgeny?
I think I'll need to work on host functions, so I'll make Math API host functions to make test vectors for those functions, especially for Blake 2, because it's not standard function. So you'll need custom test vectors to make sure that it is implemented correctly, and also code reviews for host functions and for other stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, and Bowen was quite receptive to landing the Math API soonest. He would like to see gas use go down as well. So that's good.
Yeah. So I have intentionally scared Bowen a little bit with the Lolly swap. so now he's afraid of Lolly swap launching even on the testnet. So yeah, which is good. Okay, cool. Evgeny Yuhanov.
So most important part should be merged PRs to S connector, and I believe release it. And also if will additional reviews from Evgeny Kuzякov or Evgeny Kapun, so I will put some additional stuff to PR.
Okay, cool. That's a pretty solid thing. Frank?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm bringing the problems into a state where others can work on them. And should I run idle there, it probably would make more sense to help with the documentation.
So Bully and docs.
That's succinct.
Yeah. Joshua. Yeah.
Yeah.
Math
so
API.
Math API test and possibly getting the SDK updated, because that's going to be where everyone's going to be using the Math API through there. Because like if people use for example, the Blake 2 methods directly, they're going to get probably an unexpected hash result. Because initialization vector doesn't happen. So that gets done through the SDK. So yeah, just basically Math API, get that out the door as soon as possible. and reviewed and follow up any review comments, and then SDK possibly after that, and then docs if as a stretch goal.
I think we're good on the docs. Don't forget about the self-destruct issue. You needed to work on that as well.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. I'll double check.
Okay, cool. Kirill?
So I plan to continue the security review for the S connector in Aurora engine, and to help with anything needed for the release to speed up the process. I probably start writing some end-to-end tests for the whole S connector as a whole component interacting with Aurora. And I'll try to verify precompiles robustness and finish tests by the next week as well. And I will continue to review everything coming to the Aurora engine.
Okay, that's cool. Marcella?
Yeah, I'll be finalizing the RC20 connector, mostly to unblock Evgeny Kanov with the it connector. I'll be prioritizing the issue with precompiles, promise calls. So yeah, that's what I will be doing mostly.
Okay. Okay, cool, nice. Matt?
Yeah, continuing with ENIR, and then going back to the testnet Aurora Bridge UI.
Okay, that's nice. Michael, okay, docs, automated deploy to testnet. Can you elaborate a little bit on this?
Yep. Yeah, we want our CI to automatically deploy to testnet on merges to our dev branch, so that we always have an up-to-date version that's being tested there.
Okay, Pierre?
I'll be working on making a final release for ENIR and merging everything, and then going back to the Aurora integration. So hopefully we'll have things on testnet so that I can have everything ready in the UI by the end of the week.
Okay. And as I will say for Julian that we need to finish legal setup and other help. Is this correct, Julian?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So with this, I believe, so last round for any questions and any comments.
No questions on YouTube, I checked.
Yeah, me too. Okay, then thanks everybody. Let's save a little bit of time, and if someone of you have next calls, you will have some time to refresh. Thanks everybody for joining this Aurora update call. We'll see you next week, and hopefully we will have some quite a lot of exciting information to share with you. See you next week. Goodbye.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
You guys. Bye.